What is up, YouTube? MarkBro101 here, and today I'm going to be giving you a Counter Fairy deck profile featuring Angel 07. The whole purpose of this deck, if you are not unaware, is to basically stop your opponent in their tracks when it comes to card effects, monster effects, and so forth. I started looking into this deck once I picked up Angel 07. We only have one Angel 07 in this deck, but without ado, without further ado, I will start the deck profile and kind of give you a taste for what you can do with Angel 7 in this deck. So, to start things off, the Counter Fairy deck, it's a deck where you want to use, your counter trap cards to the best of your ability. And there's no better way than with Guiding Ariadne. You want to have 3 of her in your deck, and by doing so, when this card's in the Pendulum skill, you have the ability to not take any damage, basically any costs from your trap cards. So Solemn Strike, Solemn Warning, you don't have to use any, you don't take any damage from those. And also, you don't have to discard any cards to activate trap cards. So 3 of her, very powerful in this deck. The next card you want to have is Bountiful Artemis. Whenever you activate a trap card, you get to draw a card if it's a counter trap. And this is not once per turn, and it is not limited or semi-limited at all or whatever. So if you have a back row full of counter traps and use Bountiful Artemis, it's going to be very, very powerful. But yeah, 3 of, definitely the best card in this deck for draw power. In this deck, you really want to make sure they have a lot of good draw power, because if you don't, well, it's not going to be a good time. Let's just say that. The next card we have 3 Minerva, Scholar of the Sky. Some people run her at 2, but 3 is always a very good. This card basically says that if a counter trap card is activated, you get to immediately gain 500 attack permanently, and if the Sanctuary of the Sky field spells on the field, you get to add a counter trap from your graveyard or from that has a different name. So let's say I use Solemn Warning, and I have a Solemn Strike in my graveyard. I can bring it out using this ability, and this happens for any trap card you have. So this is basically your counter trap recycling. It's very, very important card to have. Comes right out of the structure deck. Now the next card is Power Angel Valkyrie. Now this card's very good because 1, 2, or 3, doesn't matter how many you want to have, but basically whenever you successfully counter a spell, trap, or monster effect, you get to add a light fairy from deck to hand. Early game, if you don't have your Guiding Ariadne and you really need it to not take cost, that's a good way to get her out. But yeah, very good card, 1800 attack power. And if you have other cards that feel like Sanctuary of Parshath, it gets stronger. But very good card, comes right out of the structure deck. 2 or 3 or even just 1. That's just a support. The next one we have Miltel, Sage of the Sky. Every time a counter trap is activated, you get to gain 1,000 life points, and if you do, while Sanctuary of the Sky is in the field, you get to pop a card in the field. At least 1 is good for the deck, maybe 2, but probably not 3. But it's good for popping cards if you cannot negate them. So very good card to have in this deck. The next one is Zeradius, Herald of Heaven. We only have 1 copy of the Sanctuary of the Sky in this deck. So if you don't have your Sanctum of Parshath, that's a good way to search for it. You basically have 5 different ways to get Sanctuary of the Sky in a way, because this is like a discard for like a terraforming, and that's the card itself. Plus you have 3 copies of Sanctum of Parshath, which is the continuous spell version of this. So if you don't have this, terraforming would be good if you run that. But just 1 of these, maybe 2 if you want, but just 1 is good for this. Is good for my deck. Now the next card we have is going to be, well, I'll just go into other ones. We have supports. We have 2 Honest. Pretty self-explanatory. You don't have a lot of attack power, so you want to be able to use Honest if you're in a tight spot. We also have Gelin Duo, straight from the structure deck. You basically don't take any, it can't die by battle, so really good card to have, just 1 of or 2 of, but you don't need it necessarily. I just have it because sometimes I just cannot get advanced and I need something to protect me. It's basically a protection kind of card. Now the next card we're going to have is Dark Lord Desire. Now this one you could run more than one if you wanted to, but basically you just contribute one fairy type monster, and by doing so this card loses 1,000 attack, but you get to send a monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. So this is another popping ability. You don't have a lot of popping abilities once your opponent does get things out, so that's a good card to have. The next card, of course, is Angel 07, and this card basically says that if he has tribute summoned, he gains the ability that the effect monsters cannot be activated. This works against you, but also for your favor if your opponent has strong monsters on their side of the field. So yeah, it's a pretty good card. It's the whole reason I started this deck. Just having one of him is pretty good. But yeah, not bad card at all. Definitely helps you out. And also, you can use Honest if you use a card like this, because it's a monster effect. But in my Angel 07 build of it, I want to have it. And I'm usually able to tribute him out if I'm in a good position. But good card. Otherwise, it's a target. And I'll tell you what card it's a good target for just a sec. So next, I'll just show you guys these. We have the Sanctum of Parshath. Your light fairy type monsters will gain 300 attack power, and your face down sets cannot be destroyed, and so can your opponent's face down sets. So it's kind of double-edged sword, but they can still be negated. So it helps from like twin twisters and things of that nature. And then also, you can target 3 fairy type monsters and or trap cards that are counter traps in your graveyard, and if you do so, you could add them to the top of your deck in any order that you desire. So it gives you attack boost, and you get to recycle any fairy and any counter trap. So really good card to have. And of course, Sanctuary in the Sky. And the Sanctums of Parshath do count as Sanctuary in the Sky. Next, we have One Monster Reborn, self-explanatory. Also, you can use it to get your opponent's monsters and use them for your bidding if you don't have attack power. But, you know, basic card that you want in your deck. Next, I have 2 cards from the sky. Most builds that you see, they're probably not going to use this card, but it works in my deck perfectly. So Cards from the Sky is pretty good because you get to banish a light monster to basically draw 2 cards. You cannot battle the turn that you do this, but you don't battle too much in this deck until you're ready to battle. So it's really good for a searcher. Also, because I don't have like Card of Demise, I need something for draw power. So this is really good. I had 3 of it in my deck, but I realized that 3 was a little too cloggy, and then sometimes I just draw too many spells and traps. So it's not a good card for that reason, but having 2, or even just 1 if you want, is really good. Next, we have 3 Ties of the Brethren. This card, you actually do have to pay the 2,000 cost. There's no way around this one, unlike the trap cards. But it's a very good card because you could bring out any level 4 from your deck. Usually, you would want to bring out Minerva, or you'd want to bring out Bountiful Artemis. You could also bring out Honest this way and add it to your hand if you needed that attack power. So, Ties of Brethren, really good card. You want to play 3 of those. Next card you have is going to be Upstart Goblin. We need the draw power, and we can get it by any means necessary. So, your opponent gains 1,000, and you get a draw card. Self-explanatory. Next, we have Pot of Desires. Now, I only have 1 copy of this on me at the moment. I might think about running a second one. This can hurt you in this deck, but because you have triple copies of almost every card, it really helps. You get basically a free draw 2 by banishing the top 10 face down. So, really good card. Just having at least 1 is pretty good, and it's a pretty cheap card, not hard to get. Next we have Triple Pot of Duality. Now, I don't have Card of Demise, so Pot of Duality is the next best thing. You cannot special summon or battle, but you can excavate the top 3 and add 1 to your hand, which is a really good card because we want to be able to search for specific things, and if you have copies, you want to be able to get other copies of other cards. So yeah, Pot of Duality, really good, self-explanatory, pretty good card. One thing that's bad though is that you cannot chain this with like Ties of the Brethren, but you can chain Ties of the Brethren with things like Cards from the Sky and Upstart Goblin and Pot of Desires. So spell cards are mostly to get you through. Next, we're gonna have 3 Solemn Strikes. You know, pretty good card. A monster effect or a special summon, you get to negate it. You know, it's pretty good. And if you have your pendulum card in the field, you won't take any damage from this. So that's the best part about that. Next, we are going to have our Solemn Warning. You know, just limited to 1, but you know, it's really good. You can stop spell cards, trap cards, effect monsters, or you know, you can just stop summons. So, really good card. Now, next, I have 3 Divine Punishments, and I also have 2 Ultimate. Hold on, I have 2 Ultimate Providences. Well, I mean, all these trap cards are the same. So we have 3 Divine Punishments, a Recall, and 2 Ultimate Providences. So basically, Recall says that you get to negate a monster effect. Your opponent draws a card, and then you get to destroy that monster. So having at least 1 is good, but your opponent gets to draw a card. So, I mean, not bad, not the best either. But Divine Punishment is really good because as long as you have Sanctuary in the Sky in the field, you can stop spells, traps, and monsters, and you can always recycle this out with Minerva. So yeah, this card basically says, you know, a spell card or trap card is activated, you get to negate it. Also, you get to destroy monsters if they use their effects and negate their effects. And Ultimate Providence does basically the same thing, but this card just says that you need to discard the same type from your hand if you do use it. Using your Pendulum card is not going to be a problem. Now, compared with other builds, you might be familiar with Rebirth of Parshath. You might also be familiar with cards like Dark Bribe and Drastic Drop-Off. I don't run any of these in my deck. I don't run the Parshaths in my deck because you have to reveal a trap and then you have to discard 1 and pay 1,000, and then you go to bring out a Parshath from deck or extra deck or whatever. Now, I don't have Avenging Knight Parshath, and I don't personally want to use the new monster that came out for the deck. So that's just my opinion. I don't use it. I focus more on Angel 7 and my other Archwood card, and I just use Honest to kind of make up the difference. But Avenging Knight Parshath is a really good card to bring out if you have the extra deck for it. And then as far as the Dark Bribe goes, it's good, but you have many ways to do it already, so you don't need it. And Drastic Drop-Off, you could probably side it. It just depends. These are all side-worthy cards if you have the cards for it. Now I'm just going to be showing you all the sides. I already showed you those. Next we have, Arco Krishna. If you have 4 lights in your graveyard, you can bring this out. I personally don't run it, but it's an option. Next we have another Dark Lord Desire. And last but not least, Guardian of Order. As long as you have 2 monsters in the field that are light, you can bring this out freely from your hand. Really good card. Also, this could be a target for your cards from the sky. And so could Angel 07 if you don't need them at all. But that's basically it. That's basically the Angel 07 build that I have for this deck. This is just my version of it. I think it works pretty good, and yeah, that's it for the deck build. Comment down below, what kind of things you think I should add to it, what things you think I should take out of it, and maybe I'll make a second one. But yeah, until then, see you later.